Yes, g'day fellas, welcome back. How are we doing? So we're trying something a little bit different today. Just gonna try a little bit of a lap guide here for Autodromo to Interlagos. If you're new to the channel, I'm an in-car view player. So we're just gonna run through the lap in the car to give you an idea of what it feels like in the cockpit. So we do use a wheel and whatnot, but this will be a little bit of a review from outside of the car to just things you should be thinking of when you're trying to put in a decent lap around here. So do let us know what you think you need to know, or guess what you need to know. Yeah, I was a solid C grade driver about 2 years ago, about a B grade driver a year ago, and we've finally moved up to A plus and dropped a lot of lap time. So we're still in the learning phase as well. I don't think you ever stop learning when you're in the pursuit of the need for speed. So yeah, we'll jump to the out car view or chase car view any second now, and just think of a few things. So the first thing I would think about is when I was starting this lap, these qualifying laps, I was staying to the right to try and make the run to the start finish line as long as possible. So when you cross the start finish line, you do have the highest velocity possible. So we do stick to the right hand side of the track here, braking at the cones. I don't actually use cones, but we turned them on to see if we could help you with this video. Just try and run that white line all the way down to the turn-in cone. So we're trail braking, not to the apex, but we finished just before. You really want maximum speed here, so we're on the throttle and wide open throttle by the time we hit the apex. Hold it wide open with this Lancer, keep two wheels on the curb so we don't get a track penalty. Let the momentum of the car swing back, hug that curb. Some people do, some people don't. I found it nicer to run the left-hand wheels over that curb and just let the car back into the middle of the track. And that really sets up the rest of your lap. So down here we want to keep over to the right-hand side as much as possible. Once again, running those tyres on the right-hand side. Now we begin to turn in at the 50 board just to put weight on the right-hand side of the car. It does feel like you're turning in too quickly, but you're just trying to get weight over there. Trail brake just before the exit. Apex, I mean. See the apex, back on the throttle, nice and gentle, nice and gentle. Once you know you're not going to run over that curb, back to wide open throttle and keep it pinned. We hold fourth here. You shouldn't hit the limiter if you've done all things correctly. Turn in, aiming for the cone, pick up third as you clip the apex to bring the rear end around. Run that cone as well, let the car drift out to the outside, get it in a straight line, brake down into second. If the rear end's not coming around, a flick into first will help that, and then back up into second so you carry a bit more speed. Trail brake down into here. There was quite a few different lines that people were using. I chose to just hug that white line until you can see the exit. Use all that curb, run the car well past the limiter here. So with the in-car view you can really see that you're running to about 7,500 RPM. We take a break away from that apex, but we managed to carry the speed and use the curb on the outside instead. I like to get the car to swing back in one smooth motion, so as it swings back we start to turn in using that grip. And now I found braking earlier and softer for this corner was the key. Make sure you clip the curb and get wide open as fast as possible. You really want to straighten that out. Most of your lap time is in this straight right here. I found the difference between nailing that and missing that was worth about 0.4 of a second. So really focus on that exit. Possibly the most important corner of the game. A lot of blokes didn't run the left hand side here. I saw that I was one of the only blokes staying on the left. So it's up to you which line you like, but that was worth a 37.7, so I was pretty happy with that. Now leading up to that we were finding the Evo was pretty hard to drive. early in the week there was a couple of lap times on the leaderboard in the WRX, so we thought we'd give that a go. So this is about a day before we ran that 37.7. I think this is the day before. We're practicing in the WRX. It's actually a lot easier car to drive, so if you're struggling to get that Lancer Evo to do what you want it to do, I suggest giving the WRX a go. Really sort of learn what this track really wants you to do. So once again, this is the in-car view. This is what I had to contend with when I was trying to put a lap away. Once again, we don't have the cones turned on, but they're there for a reference. And yeah, we will do the out-of-car view as well for the WRX. We won't be reviewing it, but it'll just give you something to look at, where you want to position the car. There is quite a few different techniques to this track. We were doing the same there, trying to ride that curb, getting the car as straight as possible and on the accelerator as soon as possible. On the odd lap we were able to get wide open throttle before the apex. And once again you'll find that we hug the left hand line all the way to the finish. So we'll go on board now, or chase view, and you'll see pretty much the same thing. You want to keep the car over to the right hand side, run that white line, braking just after the cones, turn in at that cone, and wide open throttle by the time you find that apex cone. Just let the car drift out. The WRX does like to drift out a little bit more than the Lancer there. Trail braking down into this corner, keeping weight over the front axle, super important. Once again, once you realise you're not going to go over that curb, wide open throttle. So I think we can find 5th in the WRX. So that'll mean a double pop down in here. 4 early and then 3 on the apex just to get the rear end to flick around for you. And we might even have the same problem here. No, rear end does come around a little bit. But you will see, even if you watch a few of the top 10 replays, if the rear end's just not getting the car turned for you, just a quick downshift will pivot the car in the middle of the corner and then straight back into the higher gear. One of the few blokes using that curve actually, I felt it loaded up the right hand side of the car, brake nice and early, up onto that curb and wide open throttle as soon as possible. Once again, we'll hug the left hand side of the track. I did experiment running this curb and not running this curb. Couldn't really feel much difference myself. I do think there was at least a 10th hug on the left hand side though. So, and there you go, that'll get you a sub 38 as well. And yeah, good luck. So we'll go on board with the Lancer in fast mode. And hopefully you learned something. Got any questions, let us know in the comments below, and I'll look forward to putting a few of these out and seeing if we can help some people improve some times.